Welcome to Clarity Currents. I'm Danielle Laura, trusted seer and spiritual advisor. Each week, I share grounded energetic transmissions and insights into the week ahead so you know how to work with the energy rather than in resistance to it and are equipped to create aligned momentum across your business, relationships, health, wealth, spirituality, and legacy. This is Clarity Currents episode for the week of June 8th through the 14th, 2026. Let's dive in. When I tune into the overall energetics of the week, I see a vision of a butterfly emerging from a chrysalis because it's finally becoming visible. It feels like there's been this tremendous amount of internal work happening beneath the surface over the last several months. Emotional healing, identity shifts, letting go of old versions of yourself, releasing old timelines, old expectations, old stories. And this week feels like the moment where all of those internal shifts begin revealing themselves externally. I hear the phrase, you cannot carry the old version of you into the life you're creating. There's a strong invitation this week to release emotional attachments to what was so you can finally receive what is becoming available now. You may notice old wounds, triggers, conversations, or emotions resurfacing because they're ready to leave. The energy feels deeply transformative, emotionally revealing, and ultimately liberating. Business for the week of June 8th. When I tune into the energetics of business this week, I see a vision of someone cleaning out an old office. They're throwing away outdated papers, old files, broken supplies, and things they just haven't touched in years. This feels very symbolic of your business. There are ideas, strategies, offers, obligations, or even identities you've been carrying that are no longer fitting where you're going. And the invitation this week is to simplify. What are you still carrying because it once worked, but it no longer aligns? What conversations need to be had? What boundaries need to be established? What vision are you finally ready to claim? I see inspired action towards the end of the week where ideas could arrive very suddenly. Downloads may come unexpectedly. Trust what wants to emerge, but don't rush. Allow that clarity to land before making big decisions. The message here is to create space for the future by releasing what belongs to the past. Relationships for the week of June 8th. When I tune into the energetics of relationships this week, I see two people standing face to face, finally saying what they've both been feeling, but never has actually been expressing. This feels like a week of emotional honesty. You may find yourself revisiting conversations around support, emotional needs, feeling seen, feeling valued, or feeling understood. For some, this may be healing. For others, it might be confronting, but ultimately it feels clarifying. I keep hearing the phrase, see me for who I am now. There's an invitation to release old relational narratives and allow others the opportunity to meet the version of you that exists today rather than the version they remember. For those in healthy relationships, this can create deeper intimacy. For those in misaligned relationships, this week may reveal where adjustments are needed. Either way, truth creates freedom. Health for the week of June 8th. When I tune into the energetics of health this week, I see a vision of someone carrying a backpack filled with rocks and then sitting down and feeling instant relief. This feels deeply connected to emotional health. There's a strong connection this week between what you're carrying emotionally and what you're carrying physically. Pay attention to the tension and where it's being stored in your body. Pay attention to what emotions you've been avoiding. Pay attention to what feels heavy. The message isn't necessarily to push harder. It's to release more. I see nervous system regulation highlighted, rest, grounding, nature, hydration, gentle movement. Anything that helps you create safety within your body will be incredibly supportive this week. Ask yourself, what am I finally ready to put down? Wealth for the week of June 8th. When I tune into the energetics of wealth this week, I see a vision of someone planting seeds in rich soil. There's a beautiful energy around long-term financial growth. And this isn't about some immediate gratification. It's about creating stability, security, and creating something sustainable. You may feel called to make financial decisions this week that support your future self rather than your current comfort zone. I also see self-worth and wealth closely related this week. The more you value yourself, the more you're willing to create structures that honor your time, energy, and gifts. And if emotions arise around money this week, don't avoid them. explore them. There is a tremendous wisdom waiting underneath. The message here is that abundance grows where intention, patience, and self-worth meet. Spirituality for the week of June 8th. When I tune into the energetics of spirituality this week, I see a vision of a river carrying leaves downstream. Some leaves cling to rocks along the edge, and others allow themselves to be carried effortlessly by the current. This feels like a spiritual lesson of the week. Surrender, trust, release. There's something you've been asked to stop gripping so tightly to. It could be a timeline, an expectation, an outcome, an identity, a story. Whatever it is, allowing it to leave creates room for something more aligned to enter. I keep hearing the phrase, the next chapter requires empty hands. Pay attention to your dreams this week. Pay attention to your synchronicities. Pay attention to moments of divine timing. Your intuition feels incredibly active and available right now. And legacy for the week of June 8th. When I tune into the energetics of legacy this week, I see a vision of a bridge being completed. One side represents who you've been, the other represents who you're becoming. This week feels like a crossing point. Not because everything changes overnight, but because a decision is being made internally. It could be a commitment, a declaration, a new direction, but I do see clarity arriving around future vision, purpose, and what truly matters. There is something you're no longer available for, and there's something you're finally ready to build. The message coming through is choose the future over familiarity. The life you're creating is asking for your full commitment right now. There you have it, Hot Soul, your intuitive forecast for the week. Wishing you a week of emotional liberation, divine clarity, and courageous new beginnings. Until next week.